veterans everywhere serve our country with honor and put their lives on the line every day. Later, how Congressman Ruben Gallego is pushing for equal benefits for all service members.
Plus, dealing with burnout and depression due to the pandemic. How an organization is working to provide mental health services to communities of color.
And later, more than just racing, the entertainment provided by Phoenix Raceway for the NASCAR Championship.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Julia Sandor.
And I'm Karen Marroquin. Thank you for joining us. A new report shows disturbing statistics about suicide among veterans. Reporter Diana Quintero spoke with experts on the details.
The report from ASU's Center for Violence Prevention and Community Safety shows 1 in 5 Arizonans who were victims of suicide between 2015 and 2019 were veterans. The report also shows suicide rates were significantly higher among male veterans compared to female veterans. White non-Hispanic veterans are at a much higher risk of dying by suicide than any other ethnicity. And those between the ages of 18 to 34 had the highest suicide rate among the population.
It's complicated. What we think is going on is, one, veterans who commit suicide are substantially more likely to have had a significant physical health problem prior to their suicide. This could have occurred as a consequence of their being at war. Another thing that they have in common is that they have they're experiencing significant what we call life stressors prior to committing suicide. This could be, for example, PTSD.
The report found suicide rates are higher in rural areas, with Mojave County having the highest number of cases. Dr. Katz mentions this could be due to a lack of resources in these areas. Luke Fidel, the Veteran and Military Family Services Coordinator for the Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona, says that it's important to address the stigma around mental health.
You know, when I was in the Army, you know, it was sort of the suck it up, buttercup, keep moving kind of thing. So you really do have to take that into consideration. And again, that's getting that dialogue and being able to connect with that veteran or that service member to say, hey, it is okay to say, I'm not okay, I'm not doing okay, and to go and get the help.
There are a number of resources for veterans, specifically the Veterans Crisis Line and the Make the Connection website. If you know anyone who is at risk of suicide, you can find more information at suicidepreventionlifeline.org. In the newsroom, Diana Quintero, Cronkite News.
Veterans come from all different backgrounds, and no matter their race or ethnicity, they are honored for serving our country. Today, Axios held a discussion to talk about the importance of Latino veterans. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, almost 500,000 veterans live in Arizona, and more than 10% of those veterans are Hispanic or Latino. Congressman Ruben Gallego is one veteran who served as a Marine in Iraq. Gallego talked about important issues that Latino veterans face, one being that 35,000 who are not U.S. citizens don't receive the same benefits.
There is no VA in Mexico, and the only VA benefit they actually end up receiving at the end of the day is one thing, is that they get to get buried back in the United States. And time and time again, you'll see, flag-draped coffins crossing the border of veterans that get to be buried in U.S. cemeteries.
Military members can apply to become citizens. The naturalization fees are waived, and the time to process those applications can be much faster. But Gallego says some Latino veterans are deported because of minor offenses, like for DUIs or drug possession. Gallego is now working with the Congressional Hispanic Caucus and Armed Services Committees to rename military bases after important Latino veterans.
Earlier this month, Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego headed to the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Scotland. She spoke to other leaders about climate change solutions taking place in major cities all around the world. During the summit, Gallego announced a coalition between the mayors of 1,049 cities committed to reaching net zero emissions by the year 2050. Gallego states she made connections with many foreign companies and nonprofits and hopes to bring more green jobs to Phoenix, as well as plant more trees. Phoenix's climate action passed earlier this year, and some of the initiatives include expanding carbon neutral transportation methods and introducing 280,000 electric cars by 2030.
Valley hospitals are continuing to report staffing shortages. Now they're looking to hire travel nurses to help. Some Valley ICUs are stretched so thin that they're reporting only having one nurse, maybe 3 max, to cover them. Just in the past few days, hundreds of travel nurse positions here in Arizona were listed online. The president and CEO of the Arizona Hospital and Healthcare Association told ABC 15 because travel nurses are in such high demand, finding them may be tough. Travel nurses are also paid in higher amounts, so hospitals also have to account for that in their budget. Many Valley hospitals are hoping to solve their nursing shortages before the holiday season takes full effect.
The Arizona Humane Society announced that for the rest of the month, they're waiving adoption fees for senior pups and cats. November is Adopt a Senior Pet Month, and donations from an AHS President's Club member made it possible to get these pets home without the extra fee. Pets are considered seniors if they are 6 or older. Other shelters like Maricopa County Animal Care and Control are also waiving adoption fees for the month. Many of the shelters are at full capacity and need pets to be adopted to make rooms for more animals.
Coming up, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services reported that only 1 in 3 Black adults who need mental health care receive it. How one Arizona organization is trying to combat the mental health crisis in the Black community.
The city of Chandler is testing out a new technology that can make voting easier. What it is, coming up.
Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream. For the first time ever, our most popular programs have been selected just for you.
But there's so much more.
Whether you like to travel,
wow,
feast,
and calories don't count.
Look back,
that is me.
Discover.
You know the whole story.
There's something for everyone.
Let's get to it right away.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
I was so excited when I learned that I was going to be the next moderator of Washington Week. I was incredibly lucky to be mentored by Gwen Ifill, and what that gave to me was this confidence that I could be my full self and that I was deserving of whatever spaces I was in.
Welcome to Washington Week.
I also feel this great joy in taking the helm of Washington Week, knowing that I can mold it and make it my own, but also make sure that it is still within the legacy and the tradition that made it so great for all of these years.
Talking about mental health can be hard, and the stigma around getting professional help is especially strong in the Black community. Cronkite News reporter Camila Williams explores how one organization is trying to find a solution.
A place for reflection.
Forgiveness heals me.
And for Alethea Mason, a place for transparency.
Sharing my story was actually part of my healing.
Alethea Mason is a photographer and part of Black Women of Arizona, a group founded in 2016 to give Black women across the state a way to connect. The organization promotes networking and provides executive coaching, but a big focus is providing low-cost mental health services and opportunities for fellowship, like the recent Together Again brunch. The event focused on burnout, identity, and dealing with loss during the pandemic.
As women coming together to say, hey, we're back together again and we're loving on each other. So let's do this in this gathering. And it was uplifting for a lot of people.
Mason lost her husband, John, in September 2019 to heart disease. When the pandemic started, she wasn't able to see her therapist in person, and her mental health diminished. Mason turned to telehealth counseling, but said it wasn't the same. That's when she found Black Women of Arizona. She believes that finding someone to talk to is key to having an honest and open conversation about mental health.
You don't have to stay in that place of depression. You don't have to stay in that place of sadness or grieving, because there's a special place of healing for people.
Research shows that Black adults in the U.S. are more likely than white adults to report symptoms of emotional distress. Yet only 1 in 3 Black adults who need mental health care receive it, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. One obstacle is finding a therapist or counselor who looks like them and shares some of the same cultural history and values. Tempe counselor Charlie Berry made it her mission to create a website with a list of Black counselors across the state. Berry says stigma is another barrier to care. People may think they're supposed to stay strong or worry about how others will perceive them if they acknowledge problems.
It's taboo in our community. You know, even when we were younger, we're told what goes on in our homes, stay in our homes.
Berry says organizations like BWA are giving the Black community an alternative if they don't have access to a licensed professional.
They're letting people know that it's okay to not be okay and to reach out, even if you, like they said, if you can't get to therapy, talk to somebody.
Berry says the best advice she can give is to not hide your emotions, because the more people that go to therapy will encourage others to go to therapy as well. Camila Williams, Cronkite News.
Tired of waiting in line at the polls or want to vote directly on your phone? In the future, there could be an app for that. The city of Chandler is testing out new voting technology in a mock election this month. In August, the Chandler City Council approved a contract with Votes, a third-party app for this mock election. The app uses blockchain technology, a decentralized system that makes it difficult to hack into or change records. Votes also has added security measures like voter authentication and facial recognition.
We can save money, we can save time, we can get instant results, we can prove that it's safer, that it's unhackable, all those things combined. Then I think we're doing a service for our community, and that's ultimately what I think we're trying to do.
Chandler residents can participate in the mock election now through November 30th by downloading the free Votes app. The results will be tabulated live on December 1st. The city hopes 1,000 residents will participate.
Today, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported U.S. consumer prices are seeing the largest increase since November 1990. Over the past 12 months, prices climbed a total of 6.2%, with the overall price index rising 0.9% in October alone. Consumers are seeing price jumps in several categories, including for food, shelter, and cars. The Biden administration says the price hikes are temporary and to be expected.
It may be a few degrees hotter than normal for this time of year, but temps are starting to cool down. Now we go to Elliot McVeigh in the Cronkite News Weather Center with more on what to expect this week.
Happy Veterans Day Eve, Arizona, and a nice and chilly one too, depending on where you're at. If you're up in this northeast corner here, it's going to get nice and cool, just like the temperatures that we've been waiting for months and months. They're finally here. Meanwhile, down in this corner, Yuma, Ajo, or Quartzsite, you might want to start working some flip-flops into your Thanksgiving outfit because it's going to stay nice and warm. And that trend's going to continue for the rest of the nation here. As you can see, Florida and Arizona are doing whatever they can to hold on to and bring in a new flock of snowbirds from the Midwest to the Northeast. But that's not necessarily the case for the rest of the night here. It's going to get nice and cool around 10 o'clock. So as a naturally sweaty person, I will be taking this reprieve. And in the rest of the week, though, it's Arizona, so it's going to stay hot. It's going to get up to 86 on Veterans Day, so you might want to be able to plan your Veterans Day activities outside. But by the end of the week, things are going to get nice and cool again. And we might even get a 78-degree Thursday with some storms. So it might make those triple-digit temperatures a thing of the past. From the Weather Center, Elliot McVeigh, Cronkite News.
I'm Morgan Cardin. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Now, we found a champion over the weekend, but we'll see what Phoenix Raceway did for the fans before the races even began.
Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream. For the first time ever, our most popular programs have been selected just for you.
But there's so much more.
Whether you like to travel,
Wow.
feast,
And calories don't count.
look back,
That is me.
discover,
You know the whole story.
there's something for everyone.
Let's get to it right away.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
I was so excited when I learned that I was going to be the next moderator of Washington Week. I was incredibly lucky to be mentored by Gwen Ifill And what that gave to me was this confidence that I could be my full self and that I was deserving of whatever spaces I was in.
Welcome to Washington Week.
I also feel this great joy in taking the helm of Washington Week, knowing that I can mold it and make it my own, but also make sure that it is still within the legacy and the tradition that made it so great for all of these years.
Welcome back. I'm Morgan Cardin, and here is your Cronkite Sports Report. The college basketball season tipped off yesterday with both Sun Devil teams coming out on top. The men's team beat Portland, and the women took down Northern Colorado. For the women's side, all eyes were on guard Jade Lavelle. ASU was struggling to open the second half before Lavelle's three got them back on the board. She finished with a game high of 18 points, 16 of which came in the second half. It was her first career game in maroon and gold after transferring from Boise State just last year. It was all smiles for the team after the game, and Lavelle gave credit to everyone for her success.
My teammates just found me, and luckily I could hit down the shots for them.
Knocked it down.
I was just trying to find some space, and my teammates did a great job of, seeking the space, finding the open person.
When Brandon Williams arrived at U Arizona in 2018, he was supposed to lead the next era of Wildcat basketball. After missing the NCAA tournament and a knee injury, he left. Simon Williams has more on his journey from our Washington bureau.
He left after sophomore year of college to pursue professional basketball. And almost 2 years later, Brandon Williams suits up for the Knicks, the Westchester Knicks, of the NBA's G League, and achieves his professional dream.
Fans might remember Williams as the five-star prospect who came to U Arizona in 2018 with high hopes. After missing the postseason his freshman year and sitting out in year 2 to rehab knee surgery, he tried his luck in the NBA draft, but didn't get picked. That led him to the Knicks' public tryout, which he made, playing his way into the starting lineup for Game 1 of the G League season. After 2 years with a career in flux, Williams was grateful to put on the Knicks jersey for the first time when he took the court in Washington to face the Wizards G League squad, the Capital City Go-Go.
I trust in my game. Like I said, it's just basketball. I've been doing this my whole life, you know what I mean? So just come out here and just play my game.
He knows how it feels to be away from the game for so long, so making it to the pros won't change his mindset.
It's not going to be always an easy road. When them times get rough, just keep through it. Just stay through it. Just keep putting in the work. It's going to show eventually, like it showed today.
The Knicks ended up falling to the Go-Go 107-103, but Williams had a pretty solid night all around. 23 points, including 3 shots from deep and 4 assists on the game. And he said he's already looking forward to the rest of the grueling 50-game campaign in the G League. In Washington, Simon Williams, Cronkite News.
Sun Devil running back Rashaad White was named Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week after ASU's win over USC. The win made the Devils bowl eligible for the 3rd time in 4 years. White tallied 237 all-purpose yards and scored 3 times to claim the award. The running back's performance accounted for 56% of his team's total offense. White is the 2nd Sun Devil to win the award this season, along with QB Jaden Daniels. The offensive line expected this kind of performance from their running back all along.
That didn't surprise any of us at all. That's who we knew who he is and who he was the entire season. He's an extremely special back, and I think film always shows that. I mean, he brings that explosive play factor that every team in the country wants, and it can always be a big run.
It was a weekend of crowning not 1 but 4 champions across the NASCAR series. Cronkite News reporter Ashlyn Register has more on the race day experience.
It was the 2nd consecutive year Phoenix Raceway hosted the NASCAR Championship weekend. The 3-day event brought fans and families together to witness the crowning of the NASCAR 2021 champion, Kyle Larson.
It means everything. My family is everything, and it's the fact that we can go every year and bond over this and just make it the best time ever. It's honestly the best day of the year for me.
It was a sold-out crowd in Avondale for the Cup Series race, and the fans were in for a treat. Autographs, a Dierks Bentley concert, walking pit road, and driver appearances, including Arizona native Alex Bowman. But there were 2 experiences that were definitely the fan favorite.
It's been going to the start line and writing our names and being able to see all the cars inside.
Seeing all the cars and how they're laid out, and then earlier, I don't know which car, but it was one of the cars that kind of started up, and it
A sold-out crowd may be what you expect for a championship race, but that was not the case last year.
The energy, I feel like it's a lot more different when there's more people to be there to, make the race fun.
Phoenix Raceway will host the 2022 NASCAR Championship race next November, bringing the championship weekend experience to Arizona and fans once again. In Avondale, Ashton Register, Cronkite News.
After a quick trip to California, the Suns are back in the Valley to take on the Trailblazers tonight. The last time these teams met, the Blazers blew out the Suns by 19. However, the Phoenix defense has improved since then. After a great defensive performance against the Kings, Jay Crowder was impressed with how this team continues to get better.
Our defense made us sustain that lead right there. We got 13 stops in a row, something we never done before. So we definitely showed ourselves what we're capable of doing on that end of the court and what we can do, how that can change the game.
And that does it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Karen.
A college in a small town on the Navajo Nation is known for their unique rodeo sports team. Up next, we'll show you how they're building back their program after a series of financial hits during the pandemic.
She's the White House correspondent for the PBS NewsHour.
It has been a historic and traumatic week in Washington, D.C.
Former reporter for the New York Times, political analyst for NBC, and multimedia journalist at USA Today.
Join me this week and every week for a critical look at this week's top news stories.
Yamiche Alcindor, the new moderator of Washington Week.
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS. It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Football, for many of us, is the first sport we associate with college athletics. But for Dene College, it's the rodeo program that's the star of the show. Cronkite News reporter Zachary Larson shows us how the program is a big part of the Navajo Nation's culture.
It may feel like the middle of nowhere, but for those driving Route 66 in northeast Arizona, Dene College is in just the right place, especially if you're into rodeo.
And I just had a dream. I wanted to be a bull rider. So as soon as I woke up going to school, I told my mom I wanted to ride bulls, and she thought it was the craziest thing. And
for riders like Cody Jesus, rodeo riding comes naturally living on the Navajo Nation.
Our native Navajo people were our livelihood is with sheep, cattle, horses. For centuries we're been brought up with that.
Located among the red rocks and lightly traveled roads of the Navajo Nation is where you'll find Salee, home of Dene College. The small town and community college grew as more students found their way to the yellow-coated rodeo arena.
When Dene College opened more than 50 years ago, rodeo is a program that was embedded into the college.
Since its inception in 1968, the college has grown to over 1,500 students, and several of those students rode their way to the College National Finals Rodeo.
Back in the day when the rodeo program used to be the program to be a part of, we used to have more than 30 plus students be part of the program.
A once full team has dwindled down to 4 members, as the pandemic has caused the rodeo gates to remain shut.
Now we're trying to get one foot under the other and start up, to get going, and I just feel bad. I just felt bad for the kids that were here.
Those students now have to watch the program start over, after the virus shuttered school sports for over a year. But as rodeos begin to pick back up, Their 23-year-old star, who's one of the top bull riders in the state, is excited to compete for Dene.
Honestly, I've never been here. I've seen pictures and stuff, and I always wanted to come out here. So when I was, rolling up, what better place to practice at was what I thought.
The Sawmill, Arizona native chose Dene College to get an education, something the school hopes more athletes will take advantage of.
I am pushing the academic side, making sure that the students come here to Dene College to receive a quality education.
Not only is it about getting an education, the team hopes to rebuild the program through the passion of the Navajo community.
You see little kids wearing their bull riding chaps and their bull riding vests, and I really think it means a lot to them because when I ride anywhere like PBR World Finals, they come and they support. And
it may take years to rebuild the program back to its glory days, but one day the trailer full of cattle will hit the dirt road and find the spirit of rodeo once again within the dusty landscape of Dene College. In Salee, Zachary Larson, Cronkite News.
The rodeo program has lost out on many talented athletes after losing scholarship funding due to budget cuts in 2017. But new academic incentives have been put into place to help lure students back to the program.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.